The station was called Haven Point. It floated in the neutral zone like a small metal island in an ocean of nothing. Traders stopped there to refuel. Diplomats used it for quiet meetings away from the council's eyes. And sometimes, school groups visited to learn about the galaxy beyond Earth. 32 children sat in the station's observation lounge, their faces pressed against the transparent walls as they watched a cargo ship drift past. Their teacher, a woman named Claire Hudson, smiled at their excitement. These kids were between 8 and 12 years old, and for most of them, this was their first time in space. "Can we see the nebula?" asked a small boy named Tommy. "Later," Claire said. "First we have lunch, and then the station commander will give us a tour." The children groaned, but followed their teacher toward the dining area. They did not notice the shadows moving at the edge of the station's sensor range. They did not see the 16 ships that had been waiting for this moment. The Thornax Collective had been watching Haven Point for weeks. They were slavers, operating outside council law, taking whoever they could sell and selling them to whoever would pay. They had raided dozens of stations across the outer territories, but they had never taken humans before. Today that would change. Commander Drax stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the station grow larger on his view screen. He was massive even by Thornax standards, with thick gray skin and tusks that curved up from his lower jaw. His species had evolved as predators on a harsh world, and they had carried that predator nature into space. "Scan the station," Drax ordered. "Tell me what we are taking." His sensor officer worked the controls. Approximately 300 lifeforms, mixed species, and Commander, there is something interesting. 32 of the lifeforms are young humans. Drax smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Human children. The Krellin will pay well for those. They hate humans. They will enjoy having human slaves. "Follow me to the emergency shelter." She gathered the children and moved quickly through the corridors. Around them, station personnel ran in all directions. Some were screaming. Some were trying to reach communication terminals. One of them, a Valoran trader, looked at Claire with wide eyes. "Thornax," the Valoran said. "They are boarding. You must hide. They take prisoners." Claire's blood went cold. She had heard stories about the Thornax Collective. Everyone had. They were monsters who sold living beings like cargo. And now they were here, on a station with 32 human children. She moved faster, pushing the children ahead of her. "Go, go, go! Do not stop for anything." They almost made it. The emergency shelter was 20 meters away when the corridor door exploded inward. 3 Thornax soldiers stepped through the smoke, their weapons raised. They were huge, nearly 3 meters tall, with armor covering their thick bodies. The lead soldier looked at the group of human children and spoke into his communication device. "Commander, we found them. The human young. They are perfect." Claire stepped in front of the children, spreading her arms wide. "You will not touch them." The Thornax soldier backhanded her across the face. She flew through the air and hit the wall hard. The children screamed as other soldiers moved forward and began grabbing them. Tommy tried to run. A Thornax caught him by the arm and lifted him off the ground. "Do not struggle, little creature. You belong to us now." Aboard the Starfall, Amy Torres suddenly sat up straight at her station. "Commander, I am receiving a distress signal from Haven Point." Lisa Morgan was on her feet instantly. "Put it through." Static filled the bridge, mixed with screaming and weapons fire. Then, a voice came through, broken and desperate. "This is Haven Point. We are under attack. Thornax Collective. They are taking everyone. Please, someone, help us. There are children here. Human children. Please." The transmission cut off. Lisa stood frozen for exactly 2 seconds. In those 2 seconds, something changed inside her. The calm, patient officer who followed rules and believed in diplomacy stepped aside. Something older took her place. Something that remembered what humans were before they built cities and wrote poetry and learned to smile at creatures that mocked them. "How many Thornax ships?" she asked. Her voice was different now. Colder, harder. Scott Davis checked the sensors. 16 heavy cruisers, Commander. Full war configuration. Time to Haven Point at maximum speed? 23 minutes. Make it 15. Scott stared at her. Commander, that would require pushing the engines beyond safety limits. And even if we get there, we are one ship against 16. We are not equipped for this kind of fight. Lisa turned to look at him. Her gray eyes had changed. They were no longer calm. They were the eyes of something that had decided to hunt. Scott, there are 32 human children on that station. Children. The Thornax are going to sell them as slaves. They are going to spend the rest of their short lives being hurt by creatures who hate them because they are human. She paused. Now tell me again that we are not equipped. Scott swallowed hard. He had served with Lisa Morgan for 2 years. He thought he knew her. But the woman standing in front of him now was someone new. Someone dangerous. 15 minutes, he said quietly. I will make it happen. Lisa turned to Amy. Open a channel to the Council. Priority 1. Ambassador Carter only. Channel open. Commander Carter. Daniel Carter's face appeared on the view screen. He was still in the Council building, surrounded by alien delegates who had stopped their conversations to watch. The distress signal had reached the Council chamber as well. Commander Morgan, Daniel said, I have seen the signal. Ambassador, I need authorization. Daniel's friendly smile was gone. His face was stone. You have it. Code Omega. Whatever it takes, Commander. Whatever it takes. High Counselor Vorthax stepped into view, his hard shell gleaming under the chamber lights. What is this Code Omega? What are you humans planning? Daniel turned to face the Krellin leader. When he spoke, his voice carried across the entire chamber, broadcast to every delegate from every species. We are planning to remind the galaxy what happens when you touch our children. Commander Morgan, you are authorized for full Predator protocols. The Council will be watching. Let them see what we are. Lisa nodded once. Understood, Ambassador. Starfall out. She turned to her crew. Kevin Park had arrived on the bridge, his medical kit already in hand. He had heard everything. His gentle face had hardened into something determined and fierce. All hands to battle stations, Lisa said, her voice carrying through the ship's speakers. This is Lieutenant Commander Morgan. 15 minutes ago, Thornax slavers attacked Haven Point Station. They have taken hostages, including 32 human children. We are going to get them back. She paused, letting her words sink in. I know we are one ship against 16. I know the odds. I do not care. Those are our children, and nobody takes our children. Today we show the galaxy what humans really are. Today we hunt. In the Council chamber, the delegates watched in confused silence. They did not understand what was happening. The Krellin laughed nervously. The Chirix clicked uncertainly. The Veleron observer who had spoken to Daniel Carter earlier felt that cold feeling return. They were about to learn a terrible truth about the species they had mocked and dismissed for 50 years. Humanity had never been weak. They had simply been waiting for a reason to show their true face. And now, 16 Thornax cruisers and every watching delegate in the galaxy were about to see something that would haunt them forever. The Council chamber had grown completely silent. Every delegate from every species sat motionless, watching the massive view screen that showed a live feed from observation drones near Haven Point. They saw the Thornax fleet surrounding the damaged station. They saw the small diplomatic vessel called Starfall racing toward the battle zone. This is foolish, High Counselor Vorthax declared, though his voice carried less confidence than before. One ship against 16. The humans are committing suicide. The Valoran observer said nothing. It simply watched with those large, dark eyes, recording everything. Aboard the Starfall, the crew moved with frightening efficiency. These were not the relaxed diplomats the galaxy knew. These were something else entirely. Scott Davis stood at his engineering station, pushing the ship's engines harder than their designers ever intended. "Commander, we are exceeding maximum thrust by 37%, Scott reported. "The engines are holding, but I have never seen readings like this." "Keep pushing," Lisa replied. She sat in the captain's chair, her posture completely still, her eyes fixed on the view screen, showing the approaching battle zone. "How long?" 12 minutes. "Make it 10. Amy Torres worked frantically at her communication station, her fingers flying across the controls. "Commander, I have intercepted Thornax communications. They are laughing at us. They say we are coming to die." Lisa's expression did not change. "Let them laugh. Open a channel to the Thornax flagship." Channel open. Commander Drax appeared on the view screen, his massive gray face twisted into an amused smile. Behind him, Lisa could see the bridge of a warship, filled with Thornax soldiers, preparing for an easy victory. "Human vessel," Drax said, "you are very brave and very stupid. Turn back now, and I might let you live. Continue forward, and I will add your crew to my cargo." Lisa stared at him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was quiet and cold, like ice forming over deep water. "Thornax Commander, you have taken human children from that station. I am giving you one opportunity to release them. Send them to us unharmed, and I will let your fleet leave this system. Refuse, and I will destroy every single one of your ships. There will be no second warning." Drax burst into laughter. The Thornax soldiers behind him joined in, their rough voices filling the communication channel. "One tiny ship threatens 16 cruisers? You humans truly are insane. I will enjoy breaking you." Lisa ended the transmission without another word. "Amy, broadcast our sensor feed to the Council. They wanted to see what we are. Let them watch everything." "Broadcasting now, Commander." In the council chamber, the delegates leaned forward. They were witnessing something unprecedented. No species had ever broadcast a battle live to the entire galactic community. The humans were either supremely confident or completely mad. The Starfall crossed into weapons range. The Thornax fleet began to move, spreading out to surround the single human vessel. Their strategy was obvious. They would circle the Starfall like predators around wounded prey, and tear it apart from every direction. Then, the Starfall changed. Lisa pressed a control on her armrest. Activate Predator protocols. Full weapons deployment. The ship's hull began to split apart. Panels that had looked like simple plating slid back to reveal hidden systems. Missile tubes extended from the sides, dozens of them, far more than any diplomatic vessel should carry. Energy weapons emerged from concealed housings, their emitters glowing with barely contained power. It had never been a diplomatic ship. It was a warship wearing a disguise. In the council chamber, gasps of shock echoed through the hall. The Krellin delegates' shells rattled with alarm. The Chirix stopped their nervous clicking and went completely still. Even Vorthax stared at the screen with something that looked like fear. "Impossible," a Dronar delegate rumbled. "Our intelligence said humans had no hidden military capability." "Your intelligence was wrong," the Valoran observer replied quietly. Aboard the Starfall, Lisa gave her orders with calm precision. "Scott, bring weapon systems online. Kevin, prepare medical bay for casualties, ours and theirs. Amy, target the lead cruiser's engines. On my mark." The Thornax fleet had stopped moving. Commander Drax's confident smile had vanished. He was looking at sensor readings that made no sense. The tiny human ship was outputting power levels that matched his heavy cruisers. "All ships, Open fire, Drax commanded. Destroy them. 16 Thornax cruisers unleashed their weapons simultaneously. The space around the starfall filled with energy beams and missiles, a wall of destruction that should have vaporized anything in its path. The starfall was not there. Lisa had already given the order to move. The ship twisted and accelerated with impossible speed, dodging through the barrage like it was dancing. The council delegates watched in disbelief as the human vessel performed maneuvers that would kill any other crew through acceleration forces alone. "How are they doing that?" a Chirix delegate demanded. "No species can survive those forces." The Valoran observer answered in a hollow voice. "Humans evolved on a high-gravity death world. Their bodies can withstand forces that would crush us. We never realized what that meant in combat." The Starfall completed its evasive maneuver and locked onto the lead Thornax cruiser. Lisa spoke one word: fire. 20 missiles launched simultaneously, followed by concentrated energy weapon fire. The first missiles struck the cruiser's shields, overloading them in seconds. The energy weapons carved through the exposed hull. The remaining missiles found the ship's reactor core. The Thornax flagship exploded in a ball of white fire. Commander Drax was dead. His ship was scattered across space in a million burning pieces. The battle had lasted 47 seconds. Lisa did not pause to celebrate. "Target the next ship. Fire." The Starfall moved through the Thornax formation like a predator through a herd. The human crew worked in perfect coordination, their movements precise and deadly. Scott Davis kept the engines running at impossible levels, finding performance margins that existed only because he refused to believe they did not. Kevin Park stood ready in medical bay, but his services were not needed. The Thornax could not hit what they could not catch. In the council chamber, the delegates watched in growing horror as ship after ship exploded. The humans were not just fighting, they were hunting. They pursued fleeing vessels with relentless determination, cutting them down before they could escape. A second cruiser fell, then a third, then a fourth. The Thornax fleet began to panic. These were predators who had never been prey before. They did not know how to handle fear. Some ships tried to run. Some tried to surrender. Some tried to ram the Starfall in desperate suicide attacks. Lisa Morgan had given the order to destroy every ship, and her crew obeyed without hesitation. "Vorthax," the Valoran observer said quietly, "you called humans weak. You said they were prey animals. What do you call this?" Vorthax could not answer. His 4 hands gripped his seat as he watched the 8th Thornax cruiser die. The Krellin had prided themselves on being the deadliest species in the galaxy. They had never seen anything fight like this. The humans were not fighting like soldiers. They were fighting like something ancient and terrible. Like predators who remembered a time before civilization, before mercy, before anything except the hunt and the kill. Amy Torres had patched into the Thornax communication frequencies and filled them with human music. It was not the gentle music the galaxy associated with humanity. This was something older. Drums that pounded like heartbeats. Horns that screamed like hunting calls. Music from a time when humans had chased their prey across endless plains until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. The Thornax heard that music, and they understood what they were facing. They understood too late. Ship number 9 exploded, then 10, then 11. Lisa Morgan sat in her captain's chair, watching the destruction with cold gray eyes. She felt no joy in this, no satisfaction. She felt only the ancient drive that had kept her species alive through millions of years of hardship. Protect the young. Destroy the threat. Survive. The council chamber was completely silent now. No one spoke. No one moved. They simply watched as humanity showed them what had been hiding behind those friendly smiles all along. The 12th cruiser died. The 13th followed seconds later. 4 Thornax ships remained. They had stopped trying to fight. They were trying to run. their engines pushing them toward open space as fast as they could go. Lisa Morgan leaned forward in her chair. "They are trying to escape. Should we let them go?" Amy asked quietly. Lisa's answer was immediate and absolute. "No, they took our children. They do not get to run." The starfall accelerated after the fleeing ships, and the hunt continued. The 4 remaining Thornax cruisers ran for their lives. Their engines burned at maximum power, pushing them toward the edge of the system where they could jump to faster-than-light speed and escape. Behind them, the starfall followed like death itself. In the council chamber, the delegates had stopped pretending to be calm. Several had left their seats entirely. The Chirics were huddled together, their mandibles clicking in a pattern that meant extreme fear. The Dronar rumbled nervously to each other. Even the Krellin, the self-proclaimed apex predators of the galaxy, sat in uncomfortable silence. High Counselor Vorthax watched the screen with eyes that no longer held contempt. Something had changed in him. Something had broken. The species he had mocked for years, the creatures he had called house pets and prey animals, were slaughtering a fleet of warships with a single vessel. "This cannot be real," a delegate from the Mirren Collective whispered. "The Thornax are experienced raiders. They have destroyed military convoys. They have never fought humans before," the Valoran observer replied. "None of us have." Aboard the Starfall, the crew continued their relentless pursuit. Scott Davis pushed the engines beyond anything he had ever attempted before. Warning lights flashed across his station, but he ignored them. The engines could rest later. Right now, they had prey to catch. "Commander, the lead ship is almost at jump distance," Amy Torres reported. 30 seconds until they can escape." Lisa Morgan did not hesitate. "Target their engines. Do not let them run." The Starfall's weapons spoke again. A concentrated beam of energy lanced across space and struck the fleeing cruiser's engine section. The ship shuddered and began to drift, its propulsion systems destroyed. 3 to go. The second fleeing ship tried a desperate maneuver, spinning around to face the Starfall and firing everything it had. It was a brave move, perhaps even a noble one. The ship's commander had decided to sacrifice himself to give his companions time to escape. It did not work. Lisa read the enemy's intention immediately. Evasive pattern Delta. Return fire. The Starfall twisted through the incoming weapons fire like smoke through fingers. The human crew felt the massive G-forces pressing against their bodies, forces that would have killed any other species in the galaxy. But humans were built for this. Their ancestors had chased prey across mountains and valleys, had climbed trees and swam rivers, and survived falls that should have been fatal. Their bodies could take punishment that others could not imagine. The Thornax cruiser's shields lasted 4 seconds. Its hull lasted another 2. Then it joined its companions in becoming a cloud of burning debris. 2 ships left. In the council chamber, someone finally asked the question that everyone was thinking. Why did we never know about this? The speaker was a small delegate from the species called the Fenari. They were known for their intelligence and their peaceful nature. Humans have been among us for 50 years. How did we miss this? Ambassador Daniel Carter stood at the human delegation platform, watching the battle with an expression that gave nothing away. He heard the question and turned to address the chamber. "You did not miss it," Daniel said. "You ignored it. Every piece of information was available. Our evolutionary history, our planet's classification as a death world, our physical capabilities." He paused. "You saw what you wanted to see. Soft creatures who kept pets and made music. Weak beings who solved problems with words instead of weapons." He gestured at the screen, where the Starfall was closing in on the final 2 Thornax vessels. "We are that. We do keep pets. We do make music. We do prefer peace." His voice hardened. "But we are also this. We are predators who chose to be gentle. We are killers who decided that building civilizations was more interesting than destroying them. That choice can be undone in an instant when something threatens our children. On the screen, the 15th Thornax cruiser exploded. One ship remained. Lisa Morgan studied the last enemy vessel on her view screen. It had stopped running. Its weapons were powered down. A transmission was coming through, begging for mercy. "Commander," Amy said quietly, "they are surrendering." Lisa considered this for exactly 3 seconds. Terms of surrender. They will power down all remaining systems, eject their weapons into space, and prepare to be boarded. They will release all prisoners immediately. If a single hostage has been seriously harmed, my mercy ends. Amy transmitted the terms. The Thornax vessel complied immediately, its weapon systems floating away from the hull within moments. "They have agreed to everything," Amy reported. "They are opening their cargo holds. Commander, they have prisoners, hundreds of them from the station." "What about our children?" Amy worked her controls, her hands still shaking from the battle. "Scanning now. The children are on the station, not the ship. The Thornax had not transported them yet." Lisa closed her eyes for a brief moment. When she opened them, the cold predator was still there, but something else had joined it. Relief. "Prepare boarding teams. Kevin, you are with me. Scott, keep the weapons trained on that ship. If they try anything at all, destroy them." "Understood, Commander." The Council watched as a shuttle launched from the Starfall and moved toward the last Thornax ship. They watched as humans in combat armor entered the enemy vessel and secured it with ruthless efficiency. They watched as the prisoners were freed, one by one, and helped into the human shuttle. "The prisoners are safe," Amy announced. "All 217 of them. Some injuries, but no fatalities." "And the station?" Lisa asked. "Heavy damage, but still intact. The Thornax were focused on taking prisoners, not destruction. The children are scared, but unharmed." Lisa finally allowed herself to breathe. The predator inside her began to settle, satisfied that the threat had been eliminated and the young ones were safe. But she was not done yet. "Amy, open a channel to the remaining Thornax soldiers on the station. Broadcast on all frequencies so the Council can hear." "Channel open." Lisa spoke clearly and deliberately, making sure every word reached its intended audience. "Thornax forces on Haven Point. This is Lieutenant Commander Lisa Morgan of the Starfall. Your fleet has been destroyed. Your commander is dead. You have 2 choices: surrender immediately and face justice for your crimes, or continue fighting and join your commanders in death. You have 60 seconds to decide." She paused, then added one more thing. "And understand this. If I find that any of the human children have been hurt, if there is a single bruise or a single tear caused by your hands, I will personally ensure that the Thornax Collective ceases to exist as a functioning species. This is not a threat. This is a promise." The council chamber was utterly silent. Ambassador Daniel Carter smiled slightly. It was not his friendly diplomatic smile, something that remembered when his ancestors had faced creatures far more dangerous than the Thornax, with nothing but sharpened sticks, and refused to surrender. The Thornax soldiers on the station surrendered within 30 seconds. Lisa turned to her crew. "Scott, bring us in to dock with the station. Kevin, prepare medical teams for the children. Amy, send a message to Earth. Tell them mission accomplished. Our children are coming home." The bridge crew burst into motion, and the Starfall moved toward Haven Point Station. In the council chamber, the delegates began to speak again, their voices low and uncertain. The Valoran Observer recorded every reaction, every whispered fear, every moment of the day that would change galactic politics forever. Vorthax sat alone at the Krellin station, staring at the screen where the battle's aftermath was still visible. Debris from 16 Thornax warships floated through space, testament to what a single human ship could do when its crew stopped being diplomatic. He had spent years insulting humans, threatening them, treating them like inferior creatures. Now he understood the truth. Humans had never needed his respect because they had never needed anything from the Krellin at all. They had been patient with him the same way a grown predator is patient with a barking pup. The thought terrified him more than anything else that had happened today. Because if humans could destroy the Thornax so easily, what could they do to the Krellin Empire if they decided to stop being patient? What could they do to any of them? Vorthax had no answer, and that lack of answer kept him silent for the rest of the day. The Starfall docked with Haven Point Station 47 minutes after the battle ended. Emergency teams had already sealed the worst of the damage, and life support was functioning normally. But the station's inhabitants were still in shock, hiding in shelters and sealed rooms, afraid that the nightmare was not over. Lisa Morgan led the boarding party personally. Behind her walked Kevin Park with his medical team, followed by 12 armed Marines who had trained their entire careers for moments like this. The lead Marine was Sergeant First Class Derek Walsh, a quiet man with steady hands and eyes that missed nothing. They moved through the damaged corridors with perfect coordination, checking every room, securing every junction. The remaining Thornax soldiers had surrendered as ordered, kneeling on the floor with their hands behind their heads. They did not resist. They did not even look up as the humans passed. Whatever fight they had possessed was gone, destroyed along with their fleet. Station Command Center is ahead, Amy's voice said through their communication devices. The hostages are being held there and in the main cargo bay. Lisa nodded. Derek, take your team to the cargo bay. Free the prisoners and get them medical attention. Kevin, you're with me. Understood, Commander. The team split apart with practiced efficiency. Derek Walsh led his Marines toward the cargo bay, while Lisa and Kevin continued to the command center. The door was sealed from inside. Lisa could hear crying on the other side. Small voices, scared voices, the voices of children who did not understand what was happening. This is Lieutenant Commander Morgan, Lisa said through the door's communication panel. The Thornax are gone. You are safe now. I need you to open the door. Silence. Then a shaky voice answered. How do we know this is not a trick? My name is Lisa Morgan. I command the Starfall. We destroyed 16 Thornax warships to reach you. Lisa paused, softening her voice. There are 32 children in there. Human children. I am not leaving until I see them safe with my own eyes. Please open the door. More silence. Then the door clicked and slowly slid open. Claire Hudson stood in the doorway. Her face was bruised from where the Thornax soldier had struck her, and her hands were shaking. But she was standing. She was alive. And behind her, pressed against the walls and hiding behind furniture, were 32 children with wide, terrified eyes. They came for the children, Claire said, her voice breaking. They said they were going to sell them. Lisa stepped forward and put her hand on Claire's shoulder. It is over. I promise you, it is over. No one is going to hurt these children. Not now. Not ever. She looked past Claire at the children. Some were crying, some were too shocked to cry. A small boy near the back caught her attention. He was holding something in his hands, clutching it like it was the most precious thing in the world. A stuffed animal, a toy from Earth. Lisa walked toward him slowly, kneeling down to his level. She recognized him from the crew roster. This was Tommy, the boy who had asked to see the nebula. Hello, Tommy, Lisa said quietly. I am Lisa. I came to take you home. Tommy looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. The monsters took my friend. They took Sarah and Mike and everyone. They said they were going to hurt us. The monsters are gone now, Lisa said. My crew and I made sure of that. Do you want to know what we did? Tommy nodded slowly. Lisa smiled gently. We made them go away forever. And I promise you, any monster that tries to hurt human children will go away forever. That is what we do. We protect our young. Something changed in Tommy's eyes. The fear did not disappear, but something else joined it. Trust. The ancient, instinctive trust that young creatures have for the adults who protect them. Can I keep my bear? Tommy asked, holding up the stuffed animal. You can keep your bear forever, Lisa replied. The council watched all of this through the live feed. They saw the human Marines free the prisoners from the cargo bay, treating wounds and offering comfort. They saw Derek Walsh lift injured children into his arms and carry them to safety. The same arms that had killed Thornax soldiers moments before, now wrapped gently around scared little ones. They saw the difference between what humans could do and what humans chose to do. Ambassador Daniel Carter had left the council chamber and traveled to Haven Point on a fast diplomatic shuttle. He arrived as the last of the rescued civilians were being loaded onto transport ships. Lisa Morgan met him in the station's damaged docking bay. Ambassador, Lisa said, standing at attention. Commander Morgan. Daniel looked around at the scene, at the freed prisoners, at the crying children being comforted by Marines, at the captured Thornax soldiers waiting for transport to prison facilities. You did this with one ship. I did this with 47 crew members who understand what it means to be human, Lisa replied. Daniel nodded slowly. The council wants a formal explanation. They want to understand what they witnessed today. Let me guess. They are afraid of us now. Terrified. The Krellin delegation has already filed a complaint about undisclosed military capabilities. The Chirics are demanding inspections of all human vessels. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. I told them that our military capabilities are none of their concern, and any attempt to inspect our vessels without permission would be considered an act of war. Lisa raised an eyebrow. How did they respond to that? They withdrew the demand immediately. The two humans shared a moment of understanding. The galaxy had changed today. The rules had changed. Everything had changed. 2 days later, Daniel Carter stood before the full Galactic Council. The chamber was packed with delegates from every species, all waiting to hear what the human ambassador would say. Many of them had not slept since the battle. Many of them had spent hours reviewing the footage, trying to understand how they had missed something so fundamental about humanity. Distinguished delegates, Daniel began, I know you have questions. I will do my best to answer them. Why did you hide your true capabilities? A Mirran delegate demanded. We did not hide anything, Daniel replied calmly. We simply did not advertise. Every species in this chamber keeps military secrets. We are no different. You are different, Vorthax said, speaking for the first time since the battle. His voice was quieter now, stripped of its usual arrogance. You are predators. You have been predators all along. You pretended to be peaceful, but it was a lie. Daniel shook his head. It was not a lie. We are peaceful. We prefer diplomacy and trade and cooperation. We have built great civilizations based on those principles. He paused, letting the chamber fall silent. But we are also what you saw 2 days ago. We are hunters. We are killers. We evolved on a planet that tried to destroy us every single day. And we conquered it for relentless determination and an absolute refusal to surrender. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of delegates who had mocked humanity for years. You called us weak because we smiled at your insults. You called us prey because we chose not to fight over trivial matters. You were wrong. We smiled because we understood that fighting over insults is wasteful. We chose peace because we knew what the alternative looked like. and we prefer to build rather than destroy. Daniel stepped closer to the central platform, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. But you need to understand something. Our peace is a choice. Our gentleness is a choice. And those choices can be undone in an instant when something threatens what we love. You saw what happened when the Thornax took our children. You saw one ship destroy a fleet. Imagine what would happen if you threatened Earth itself. He let that question hang in the air. We do not want to fight you. We want to trade with you and learn from you and share the wonders of the galaxy with you. But know this, we will never allow anyone to harm our people, especially our children. That line is absolute and eternal. The council chamber remained silent. Daniel smiled, and this time it was his friendly diplomatic smile, warm and inviting. I hope we can continue to work together in peace. I believe that is what is best for everyone. But if any species ever decides to test our resolve again, please remember what you saw at Haven Point. Remember what humans are capable of when we stop being diplomatic. He returned to the human delegation platform. That is all I have to say. In the years that followed, the galactic community treated humanity differently. Trade negotiations became more respectful. Territorial disputes were settled quietly. The Thornax Collective dissolved completely, its surviving members scattered across the outer territories, afraid to ever gather in numbers again. And when young species joined the council and asked why humanity was treated with such careful respect, the elder races always gave the same answer. Because humans are the only species in the galaxy who chooses to be peaceful. They could destroy us if they wanted. They could conquer every world and enslave every species. But they choose not to. They choose to smile and trade and make music instead. The young species would ask if that made humans weak. The elders would shake their heads and say the exact opposite. A creature that cannot fight is not peaceful. It is simply helpless. True peace comes from having the power to destroy and choosing not to use it. Humans have that power. They have always had that power. And that is why you should always be polite to them. And if we are not polite? The elders would remember the footage from Haven Point. They would remember the starfall moving through the Thornax fleet like death itself. They would remember the cold voice of Lisa Morgan promising to end an entire species if a single child was harmed. Then pray that their children are not involved, the elders would say, because humans will do anything to protect their young, anything at all. That warning was passed down through generations, and no species ever forgot it. Humanity continued to smile. Humanity continued to make music and art and poetry. Humanity continued to keep pets and show kindness to strangers. But behind those smiles, the predator always watched. And the galaxy learned to be grateful that it chose peace. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with representatives from 12 ancient species. They sat in their designated sections, each one believing they understood the universe and everything in it. They had traveled between stars for thousands of years. They had built empires and destroyed enemies. They thought they knew what power looked like. They were wrong about humans. Ambassador Daniel Carter stood at the human delegation platform, wearing his simple gray suit and his friendly smile. He had served on the council for 3 standard cycles, which was about 4 Earth years. In that time, he had never raised his voice. He had never threatened anyone. He had solved disputes with patience and clever words. The other species had decided that this was what all humans were like. High Counselor Vorthax of the Krellin Empire watched the human ambassador with open contempt. The Krellin were tall beings with hard shells covering their bodies and forearms that ended in sharp claws. They had conquered 6 star systems through brutal warfare. Vorthax believed that strength was the only thing that mattered in the universe. The human wishes to speak about trade agreements again, Vorthax said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. Perhaps they will offer us more of their art and music, Such useful things in times of war. Laughter spread through several sections of the council chamber. The Chirix delegates clicked their mandibles together in amusement. The Dronar representatives made deep rumbling sounds that passed for humor among their kind. Daniel Carter kept smiling. He had heard worse. All humans had heard worse since they joined the galactic community 50 years ago. The other species saw humanity as soft, weak, emotional creatures who somehow managed to reach the stars without destroying themselves. They did not know about the wars. They did not know about the millions of years of hunting and fighting and surviving on a planet that tried to kill humans every single day. Earth was what galactic scientists called a Class 12 death world. But nobody had bothered to check the human homeworld classification. Nobody cared enough about the harmless humans to investigate. The Council recognizes Ambassador Carter of Earth, said the speaker, a floating crystalline being called a Veloxy. Daniel stepped forward to the speaking platform. Thank you. I want to discuss the trade route through Sector 7. Several cargo ships have reported delays because of increased inspections by Krellin patrol vessels. We believe these inspections are unnecessary and harmful to commerce. Your cargo ships are weak, Vorthax interrupted. They carry no weapons. Any species that cannot defend itself does not deserve to complain about inspections. We choose not to arm our cargo ships because we believe in peaceful trade, Daniel replied calmly. You choose weakness because you have no other choice, Vorthax said. Humans are prey animals pretending to be something more. Everyone in this chamber knows it. Daniel's smile did not change, but something in his eyes shifted for just a moment. It was so quick that nobody noticed. The Council has rules against armed interference with civilian vessels. We simply ask that those rules be followed. The debate continued for another hour, going nowhere. This was normal. The Krellin did whatever they wanted, and the other elder species allowed it, because nobody wanted to fight them. Humans had no military presence in the galactic community. They had a small defense fleet that stayed close to Earth and a few diplomatic vessels scattered across known space. Far from the council chamber, in the neutral zone between three major empires, a ship called the Starfall drifted through the darkness of space. It was listed in all databases as a diplomatic vessel, lightly armed, and meant only for transport and observation. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Morgan sat in the captain's chair, watching the stars through the main viewport. She was a small woman with short brown hair and calm gray eyes. She had commanded the Starfall for 2 years, and in that time, nothing exciting had happened. That was supposed to be the point. Commander, we have received the weekly update from the Council, said communications specialist Amy Torres from her station. Amy was young, only 26, with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. She had joined the service because she wanted to explore the galaxy. So far, she had seen a lot of empty space. Anything interesting? Lisa asked. The Krellin are being difficult again. Ambassador Carter handled it the usual way. Patience and diplomacy. Yes, Commander. Lisa nodded slowly. She had met Daniel Carter once, at a conference on Earth, before she shipped out. He was good at his job, maybe the best diplomat humanity had ever produced. But she had seen something in him that most people missed. Behind those friendly eyes was a man who understood exactly what humanity was capable of. He chose peace because he knew what the alternative looked like. Chief Engineer Scott Davis walked onto the bridge, holding a cup of coffee. He was a big man with thick arms and a beard that technically violated regulations, but Lisa allowed it, because Scott was the best engineer in the fleet. He could make the Starfall do things that the designers said were impossible. Morning, Commander, Scott said, dropping into a chair near the engineering station. Engines are running smooth. Nothing to report. That seems to be the theme today, Lisa replied. Nothing to report anywhere. You sound disappointed. Lisa shook her head. No, peaceful is good, Peaceful means nobody is getting hurt. Chief Medical Officer Kevin Park entered the bridge next, carrying a datapad. Kevin was thin and quiet, with a gentle manner that made patients trust him immediately. He had served in humanitarian missions before joining the Starfall crew. He had seen what happened when peace failed. "Medical supplies are fully stocked," Kevin reported. "We are ready for anything. Not that anything ever happens out here." The bridge crew laughed quietly. They were 47 souls on a ship designed for diplomacy in a part of space where nothing diplomatic ever occurred. The neutral zone was neutral precisely because nobody important lived there. A few small stations served as meeting points for traders and travelers, but nothing of real significance happened. Or so they thought. In the council chamber, the session was ending. Daniel Carter gathered his materials and prepared to return to the human embassy. As he walked toward the exit, a Valoran observer approached him. The Valoran were slender beings with silver skin and large dark eyes. They claimed to be neutral in all conflicts, watching and recording, but never interfering. "Ambassador Carter," the Valoran said quietly, "I have watched your species for many years. You are not what you appear to be." Daniel's smile remained fixed. "I do not know what you mean. Your people have no military history in our databases, no records of warfare, no evidence of violence. Yet your bodies show signs of predator evolution. Forward-facing eyes, binocular vision, endurance capabilities that exceed most known species." The Valoran tilted its head. "You are hiding something." Daniel looked at the Valoran for a long moment. Then he leaned closer and spoke in a voice so low that only the two of them could hear. "We are hiding everything, and you should hope that you never see what we are hiding. Because when humans stop smiling, when we stop being diplomatic, when something makes us remember what we really are, the galaxy will learn why our ancestors conquered an entire planet with nothing but sticks and stones and pure, relentless determination." He straightened up, and his smile returned, warm and friendly. "Have a pleasant evening, observer." Daniel walked away, leaving the Valoran standing alone, with a cold feeling spreading through its body. It had watched 10,000 species across 1,000,000 years. It had seen empires rise and fall, but something in the human's eyes, just for that moment, had shown it something new, something terrifying. And somewhere in the neutral zone, aboard the Starfall, Lisa Morgan received a routine transmission from a nearby station. A school group was visiting. 32 human children on an educational exchange program, learning about alien cultures and galactic cooperation. Nobody knew that this simple school trip would change everything.